Hello and welcome to my channel. I'm Sarah, and in this video I am doing a reading for Aries personality for April of 2024, a reading for the upcoming energies, like what the main themes are, what the breakthroughs are, and things to look forward to, and guidance and all that cool stuff, using the Aleister Crowley Thoth Tarot deck. I was going to show you the box, but it's not here. Okay, so I'll leave it in the description though if you want to find that for yourselves. Okay, so I've already done the actual reading itself, and I've got the cards in front of me. So the first ones I'm going to address are the main themes that are coming up for the Aries personality. So something to say here is that it is also for look for your sun, moon and rising if you know what they are. If you don't know, you can always check it out on like astro.com. Like there's loads of places you can find out your birth top 3 if you like. Okay, so for Aries. Now, I'm a little bit reluctant to share it. It does look a little bit challenging in terms of the themes here. So we'll start with, I'll show you the cards first and then I'll talk through them a little bit. Okay, so first of all, we've got the 3 of Swords, sorrow. Okay. Then we've got the 8 of Cups, indolence. And then finally, for the main themes of this month, we've got the Devil. Okay, so I don't think it's all bad. Like, I don't want to ever think of tarot like that. I just think sometimes things can be challenging and sometimes things can be easier, but they're always for our highest good. And I think that's always super important to like keep that in mind, that nothing is ever truly bad, really. It's all just part of our journey and the growth of that. So starting with the 3 of Swords. So for some of you, it's going to be a potentially, sorrowful month. There might be some stuff that comes up. There might be some things that needing to be released and healed. And there may be tears. I feel like it's a very upset kind of energy. It might come in the form of grief, but sometimes it's also just kind of like, it's not necessarily grief, but sometimes 3 of Swords does speak of grief. Interestingly, it's a Saturn in Libra card, and Saturn in Libra is actually its exaltation. So I'm not sure why Crowley thought that this card went well with the exaltation, meaning like in its strongest position where it really, really likes to be. So that's why I'm kind of not totally feeling like it's an all-round terrible card, if you know what I mean. But there is some Saturn influence there. And I wonder actually if with it being in Libra, if there's something to do with the South Node eclipse that we've just had and releasing and shedding some things from that, and maybe that's been quite difficult. So depending on where Libra sits in your chart, there might be something to release there in that house. I feel like that's for some of you, but yes, definitely releasing, definitely shedding, definitely potentially, so not definitely, potentially like upsetting, difficult. Then we've also got 8 of Cups, indolence. So this card is Saturn in Pisces. So you can see there, Saturn glyph there, Pisces glyph there. Again, this card is not actually in its fall or detriment. So in astrology, you have positions where it's like exaltation, which is in its highest form, so to speak. Although there's always shadows of both, like whether it's, you know, in his exaltation, there's still always going to be shadowy bits there. And then you have planets when they're in their fall or detriment. So fall is like considered to be the least comfortable, and detriment is when it's not great. So it's actually neither of those. It is somewhat neutral because it's somewhere in between. But as you can see from the card, it's not the most bountiful card. So this card really speaks of maybe you've started something and you got a little bit of success from it, but you've kind of quit, or you've stopped continuing what you need to do in order to like continue the success of that. So let's say you start a project and it's going quite well, and then you sort of like abandon that project. This card definitely speaks of abandonment. Now in the traditional tarot deck, the Rider-Waite deck, you actually see like a man walking away, and it's like he's being abandoned. But I feel like the interpretation Aleister Crowley had was a bit different, and he was sort of saying more like how we have a tendency to have a little bit of success in something and then like back off, instead of like seeing it through and like actually continuing with something that's working, and we're abandoning ourselves really rather than being abandoned. But depending on who's watching, it may manifest slightly differently for you. So like say in the traditional tarot, it's more about you walking away from something, and there's this kind of sadness as well in that card, like he's like going away and he's not like happy about it. So and mixed with this sort of sorrow, like maybe there is something about leaving something behind and you finding it quite hard. So in that sense there could be grief, but I don't think it's necessarily like a death of a loved one. It's more just like leaving something behind that's not easy to leave behind. So that could be something that's really coming through for the Aries personality. And then we've also got the Devil. So again, I think this is a very misunderstood card. To me, the Devil really speaks of like the most masculine card in the whole deck. If you actually look at it, it's very crude. You've got a very phallic symbol here and two clearly testicles. So there's something, and it's the goat. It's the goat of Capricorn. There's a lot of Capricorn in this reading actually. So we've got Saturn here and Saturn here, and Capricorn is ruled by Saturn. So there's a lot of Saturn kind of energy, and Saturn is the planet of discipline, of boundaries, of restriction, of limitations. So there's maybe something here about having to like create some limitations, but because Saturn's not a bad planet, like it gets a bad name, bad rap, but it's always trying to teach us that like we need limits, that they're actually helpful for us, and when we integrate the lessons of Saturn, that we actually get stuff done, right? Which again kind of speaks to me of this, like the reason I think, even though it's not in its fall or like particularly bad place, Saturn in Pisces, which actually incidentally we have Saturn in Pisces right now astrologically, like that's what's happening. Pisces is the sign of like the two fish that are swimming in opposite directions, and it's in water and it's boundaryless. So like Saturn with Pisces, it feels a little bit of a disconnect, because it's like Saturn wants limitations and like to put like the water in a container, but Pisces has no limits and just wants to go wherever it wants and doesn't like restriction, and just so there's something here about creating limits for yourself would actually be helpful, I think, especially with this influence of the Devil. So traditionally this is often like seen as, he's a bit of a scapegoat, unfortunately. Everyone's like, the devil's the evil, ultimately evil, but ultimately everything has its shadow side, right? Nothing is truly good. Like everything has a shadow. Even the cards that are so, apparently nice, they still have their shadows. So I don't think the Devil is just like, I don't want him to be the literal goat and scapegoat of all of like what is evil. I just don't see it like that. I think it's about like, yes, be aware of temptation and be aware of this, like again mixed with this, like be aware of this temptation to sort of like abandon things and actually like try and maybe stick things out. And like Capricorn is very much in it for the long haul, like creating structures and habits in our lives to help us have sustainable long-term action. Like Capricorn is a hard worker. Capricorn wants you to work and it wants you to succeed, and it needs those structures in order for that to happen. So there is maybe an energy here of like, where are you wanting to escape, and actually how can you try and stay the course. Okay, so in terms of the next cards I've got here, so the question I ask is, what is the big breakthrough? And we've got the Lust card. So this card is ruled by Leo. Very fiery card, as you can see, lots of reds, oranges, and it's Babylon, the lady here, riding the seven-headed, very strange looking seven-headed beast. And to me, like this card, I always really like this card. I always think I think Babylon's great. She understands that real strength. So again, in traditional tarot, this is known as the strength card, but in traditional tarot, like this Strength card is of a lady like taming the beast, whereas she's like riding the beast and she's like loving it and having a great time, and it's a very sexual energy card. So I think because the question was what are the big breakthroughs, there might be a breakthrough in creative energy or sexual energy, and like coming into like feeling more alive. Like look at her, like she's just like having the best time. So coming more alive and coming more into your like sexual like power, like really second chakra. Like actually the colors really correspond to second chakra, which is all about creative and sexual energy and power. So there could be something here about breaking through if you've had like a bit of a creative rut, or maybe like you've been finding it hard to access pleasure and lust, like maybe finally getting a bit of access to that despite maybe some other challenges that are going on here. I asked the cards also what to look forward to in April, and we've got the Two of Cups here. So again, this card really speaks of harmony, of balance. It's two, and it's all pouring into two cups equally. It's the union of the masculine and the feminine. It's also Venus in Cancer card, as you can see here. That's the Cancer glyph, that's the Venus glyph, which is very much about sort of motherly. I always think this is quite a motherly sort of energy, and marriage, and maybe two people coming together, and like, so there's an opportunity, something to look forward to is maybe a sense of peace within all of this actually. So again, it's a bit of a mixed reading, like there's some challenges but then there's some really nice things to look forward to as well. For some of you it could also be just like finding new love. There could be like someone coming into your life that's a love opportunity potentially, but for some of you it's more about, I think I'm also getting like self-love as well. I think there's something here about, yeah, generally just having more harmony. Then the last question I asked was what's the guidance for April, for the Aries personality, and we've got the Four of Discs, which is the power card. So again, like I was saying before, there's a lot of Capricorn Saturn energy, and this card is Sun in Capricorn, which is the glyph there. So Sun in Capricorn is very much about like, again, like putting things in order, putting like getting for the long haul. Like Capricorn is not about the short-term game, it's very much about like the long-term, like planting the seeds, setting things up, and like working day to day diligently on those tasks. So it's very like, yeah, it's a hard worker, like I've already said. So with it being a guidance card, and I think also with it being power, I think there's something about stepping into your power here and like realizing your own power and realizing like what you have to offer, I think, as well. Like I think this is a really positive card, and yeah, again, you can see from the imagery, this is a boundary, isn't it? It's a perfect, like, this is where the stuff happens, and then this is the boundary to contain it all. Like Saturn wants containers for things to happen, because Saturn understands that that's what is needed. So it's about creating structures in your own life. So that's a very big theme for you coming up in April. It's about how you can set up structures and systems. And again, it rules systems. Capricorn and Saturn is the father. So it's, and with the Devil as well being the most masculine card of the potentially the whole deck, there's this very masculine kind of energy coming through, but then you've also got this very sort of sexual energy coming through as well potentially, which is quite exciting. It's a nice one. Yeah, okay, so let's see what else we've got here. I think I'm going to pull some oracle cards as well, so I'm going to use the Work Your Light deck by Rebecca Campbell. I use this deck all the time, I love it. So let's see what other messages want to come through for the Aries personality, April 2024. 2 cards, please. Ooh. Okay, take that one. 2024 April. Oh, here we go. Okay, here we go. Yeah, that makes sense. All right. Is that one card? Yes, it is. All right. So we've got align your life. What is not aligned or needs to change? Something that's really sticking out to me actually is the imagery on this card. There's a lot of disconnect. There's something here that's very like things, yeah, it's not aligned. Things are not gelling, not coming together very easily. So what is it that you need to let go? Which again kind of corresponds to this card. Something needs to be let go and it's not necessarily going to be very comfortable. We've also got, how are you being called to step up and lead? Priestess. I know it's reversed. I know you can't read that very easily, but that's what it says. So again, like, it's very much like, again, Capricorn to me is always about power, right? Sun in Capricorn, power, stepping into your power, stepping up and leading. Capricorn is a leader. So where do you need to take charge and lead in your own life? What's happening for you right now? Where are you hiding? Like, it feels like there's hiding here. That's what it is. Because again, with this card, this abandoning, usually when we abandon things, it's like because we're afraid. There's something that we're not fully embodying and stepping into because there's some kind of fear there, and like I'm kind of getting this feeling of like, no, but I can't because da 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 da, and it's this restricted feeling, but actually like you absolutely can. Like, it's like there's nothing in your way. The only thing in the way is you, and it's about trusting the calling and creating the systems in your life so that you can follow those things through. I really feel like that's very much the case. So it's not the most comfortable reading, but what I'm really getting from it is that there is a little bit of support, and there can be some really lovely stuff coming too, but it's shaking things up for you. And to be honest with you, one of the cards that did wink at me was the Tower card, and the Tower is always about shaking things up, right? So the universe coming in. I think it winked at me and it didn't come out because it's like not definitely going to happen, but as long as you actually follow the advice, which is to take ownership of your own life and do the scary things and have courage. You are an Aries after all. You are all about courage and taking action and being bold and like really doing that, and you'll be fine. But if not, then the universe is going to come in and be like, okay, we're going to take this. So I feel like there's really something there about that as well. Are there any other messages? Let's see what it says here. No, I feel like actually no, that is enough. Anyway, thank you so much for watching. I hope that's been interesting and helpful, informative, entertaining, if nothing else. And if you have liked it, I would love if you could like, subscribe, comment, anything like that. Really helps the channel grow. I really, really appreciate it. And thank you so much for taking your time and attention to watch this today. Have a lovely rest of your day, and I'll speak to you all later. Bye.